Surprisingly, the early N64 library was devoid of motorcycle racing games. With so many car and kart-based races, it would have been an easy option for any developer to make a game based on two wheels to help it stand out from the crowd. However, in 1999, there were a load of new N64 motorbike racing games to be released, and the first of which was Road Rash 64. While Excitebike and Supercross were both aiming for purist experiences, Road Rash, as we know from its first iteration, is a mixture of racing and combat which has been made on pretty much every platform since the 16-bit era. Surprisingly, Pacific Coast Power and Light, the developer of the game, decided not to alter the tried and tested formula when creating Road Rash 64, which was published by THQ in 1999. While the basics of the game have changed very little, the experience of playing Road Rash 64 is certainly a mixed bag, and in the end, it offers a fun experience, but one which doesn't do enough to make this a must-have purchase. The single player mode is where most gamers will spend the most amount of time, and thankfully Road Rash 64 has great depth in this area. As you work your way through the races, you earn money, which you can use to upgrade your bikes as well as purchase more powerful weapons. There are a huge number of tracks to race and a healthy number of weapons, so learning which combination of bike and weapon works for you is really the key to progressing in this pseudo-career mode. Speaking of the weapons, they are actually nicely balanced. Longer weapons such as the pull cue are better for ranged attacks, whilst if you prefer getting close to your opponents, then the spike clubs will give you devastating power at the risk of being able to be knocked off yourself. There are also stun weapons such as the taser, which when timed correctly will make your opponent dazed, giving you the opportunity to kick them off their bike. It does take some practice and experimentation to work out which works best for you, but when you find it, you'll be obliterating opponents in no time. Whilst it may not have the physics of the other motorbike racing games, it sadly also doesn't have the handling either. Whilst riding the slower, less powerful bikes, you'll have little problem on the early simple tracks. When riding the more powerful later machines, you'll quickly realise the control system is sloppy at best. Instead of the fast-flowing races of the earlier tracks, you'll soon find races turn into an endless routine of being knocked off at high speeds or falling off while trying to take corners too quickly. It sadly really detracts from the overall experience, and no matter how much practice I put in, I still found myself clipping trees or vehicles only to take an age to get back onto the bike. The courses themselves do have a nice learning curve, with the earlier tracks being more or less straight lines, whilst the later courses find you twisting and turning down what seems never-ending roads to hell. Sadly, the courses all look graphically similar, and lack anything to really distinguish them from one another. All of the courses are a muddy mix of either inner city tracks or countryside offerings, and for the best part that remained all there was to see. Even with the added expansion pack enhancements, the visuals are still sadly very poor. There is a little pop-up and next to no fogging to speak of, but the characters and courses all seem to lack any real inspiration for a game with wild and exciting premise. It suddenly boils down to being a visually bland game. It's also worth noting that the frame rate is steady, and even with the intense on-road battles taking place between multiple racers, there is very little slowdown, which is thankfully one of the few positives in the game. From the weak visuals, I was also expecting subpar sound. However, unusually for an N64 game, the sound is actually one of the strongest features in Road Rash 64. The soundtrack is fully licensed, with bands such as Civ, Merman and Sugar Ray giving the soundtrack a suitably rock and roll feel which is perfectly complementing the gameplay. Adding to this is the perfect blend of sound effects which make your engines roar as you are racing. Each of the bikes has their own unique engine noise, so whether you're playing as a racing bike or a hog, it all sounds perfect. Apart from fighting the other racers, there are also cops to contend with on the later tracks. The police are either on bikes and in cars, and at times this provides some epic brawls on the road. What's cool is that when you get closer to the police vehicles, you can hear the radios and cries for help as you punish them, and the squad cars will set up roadblocks in your path. Overall, Road Rash 64 is not a bad game by any means, but it's lacking that certain something which takes an average game into an instant classic. The sound is definitely the game's strength, but the lack of interesting courses and weak visuals, even with the help of the expansion pack, really lets the game down. It's also a fun multiplayer game, but the problem is that the game slows down too much, and only having a portion of the screen means you'll need track memorization skills in order to really fully enjoy it. For me, the series hit its high on the Panasonic 3DO, however the solid AI makes Road Rash 64 a real challenge to play. It's just a shame that things become stale far too quickly. But how do you remember Road Rash 64? Did you pass on it after the mediocre reviews it received on its launch, or did you snap this up eager to experience the latest iteration in the series? Speaking of the series, let me know your favourite Road Rash game in the comments down below, and until next time.